A week of glorious Australian South Pacific sunshine has given way to low cloud and rain. We have a damp track for round 17 of the CART FedEx Championship Series for 2002. Welcome to the Honda Indy 300.
Here's the rain light.
And look at that crowd down on Honda Hill in the Honda hairpin, the final turn before they swing onto the front straightaway and face the green flag in the hands of Chief Starter Jim Schwintow. It appears to be growing lighter, and we may have an opportunity for this track to dry. Now look at the field trying to find clear air. Bruno Junqueira seems to think it's a 2x2 start.
Making a big move up the inside. Looks like he's by Cristiano going down into one.
What a move by Bruno Junqueira, and we have a huge
race.
accident on the front straightaway. Several cars have come together, and the track is blocked. There it is.
Big accident. We saw cars flipping right in front of us as they came by.
Red
It's going to
flag.
be a red flag.
One of the players' cars, Adrian Fernandez. Looks like Tora Takagi.
Michel Jourdain.
That's the car. Here's another look as the action took place. Mario Dominguez arrived even at reduced speed. Just look at the energy of that impact.
Now altering his line a little bit until he finds the stickiest part of the racetrack.
Now he will accelerate.
Green flag, green flag.
Cristiano Matta takes the green flag. Bruno Junqueira about 15 car lengths behind. The field well spaced, and we are underway.
It's going to be a race of strategy and brains right here. Everybody being real conservative. Cristiano taking a bit of a lead out there.
Tony Kanaan and Kenny Breck right up on the gearbox of Bruno Junqueira.
So they're through two, so now they can pass.
Looks like Dixon not even taking a look on PT. Was taking a look at PT.
Scott Dixon, very level.
Big move up the inside. Kenny Breck up the inside of Tony Kanaan.
And Kanaan trying to respond on the run out. Doesn't appear he'll be able to.
Kenny applying the block.
That one move block.
The 1, 2, 3 move block.
Now
PT
Paul
right
Tracy.
up on.
Yep, Paul Tracy pulling up and Scott Dixon behind him.
Very tight quarters there.
From overhead, Main Beach to the right. Through the chicanes.
That overhead is a good view of just how much car they're putting up over those curbs.
Cristiano Matta taking a bit of a lead right now.
Junqueira squirming under acceleration. Heading for the hairpin now.
And this with what Rocky Rokelin said was close to a dry setup. So if he's this quick in wet and drying conditions, he'll be in really good shape. We're not quite sure of exactly what setup everybody else has on their cars. They might be also close to dry as well.
Just amazing as the cards flash under our announce position. They are still able to extract water from what appears to be a nearly dry front straight.
Still see a lot of great shot right there on Dario's shield. You see a lot of water on there. That's just water getting sucked right off the racetrack, and it looks like it might. Wow, if it's not raining, it looks like it could rain any moment.
You see Dario Franchitti's lap time, 2:02, compared with the qualifying times, a full 30 seconds faster. Calvin Fish.
Well, two teams that we know definitely went a lot softer on their setup are the Players team. They said they had nothing to lose. The cars really hadn't been good in the dry, so they went basically full wet with their setup. And also Team Cool Green, they said the cars were abysmal this morning. What they've done, they've really altered the split of the springs from front to rear. They've gone a lot softer in the rear to try and get traction. Dario went higher on the front spring, just trying to induce some understeer, and he said the car is just sideways everywhere. Alan McDonald said we're a lot softer than we've ever been on the rear spring for these conditions.
Kenny Breck was drawing up close to Junqueira before this last straightaway here. Bruno's pulled out a little bit again, but you know, remember, Kenny Breck has had an absolutely horrid season. He needs a result he's not close to second in the championship like Bruno. So for him, it's win or bust.
Team orders?
Well, I actually need to update Denver, where they asked Chip Ganassi, and he said there's no team orders. And I said, God bless Chip Ganassi for letting him race. I've come to find out there were, in fact, team orders. Scott Dixon was told to stay put. At this point, I think this early in the race, I'd be surprised if they apply him this early, and even if they do apply him, I would expect Kenny Brack, who is not going to be back with Ganassi next year, to have radio trouble at that point.
Brack has a couple of podiums this year, but it has been a brutal season for him. There is Junqueira, there is Brack. Oh, Mario Dominguez has gone straight on. Is that down in turn 3? No, turn 8.
That last lap by Bruno's car on the racetrack. Almost 3/10 quicker than Matta, but Matta's got a pretty good lead right now.
Laps now dipping under 2 minutes. Lap Scott was referring to a 1 minute 57.9. Here's another look at what happened to Mario Dominguez.
Looks like he can get down in turn 8. He's got a little too deep and said, let's try and finish today. Let's not tear up another race car.
As Derek mentioned earlier, Dominguez still trying to overcome the absent Townsend Bell for the Jim Truman Rookie of the Year award. 2 points behind coming into the weekend. Whoa, Breck getting a big slide off the chicane. Now Junqueira beginning to close up a bit on the race leader, Matta.
Townsend Bell's name's been being kicked around a little bit by some of the teams in the pit lane here.
Looks like Bruno's starting to reel Cristiano in pretty good. Whoa, pretty sideways off there, Cristiano.
The turn they come, ever closer draws Junqueira. We'll take a break and return live from Surfers Paradise. Stand by, the rain is not far away. Sunday here on Speed Channel, we have the finale of the Trans Am Series for the BF Goodrich Tires Cup from Virginia International Raceway. Live at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, only on Speed Channel. Stu Hayner on pole, hoping to pick up a win in the Trans Am season finale. Join us for it here on Speed Channel. The weather is drawing closer. We've had visible lightning, which means some of our cameramen will be coming down from their scaffolding positions. Now, while we were in break, from overhead, this was the view of Paul Tracy spinning, but not hitting anything. Except Scott Dixon.
PT has been very exciting this weekend. Morning warm-up actually had 3 offs in the outlap.
He was drawing up behind Tony, and I was just thinking to myself, wow, Paul's just being, because in these conditions, any bit of charging tends to just put you down the escape road.
That onboard shot was from Scott Dixon's car. Shinji Nakano behind him. On board now with Dario Franchitti in our visor cam. Calvin Fish has more on Dixon.
Well, I just checked in with his crew and I said, is the car okay? They gave me the big thumbs up, so he'll be a man on a mission now. He's been very confident all weekend, very disappointed with his qualifying run. He said he only got 1 clean lap. He felt he should have been on the front row of the grid at least. So a lot of speed in that car potentially, and he was one man this morning after warm-up who said he was happy with his car.
There you hear the wheel spin. Seems especially tricky there at turn 8. And as the weather continues to close in, it occurs to me, as we're talking about visible lightning, that we're sitting about 3 stories above the ground overlooking the front straightaway, gentlemen. Derek Daly.
Just like Dixon, there is no damage to Paul Tracy's car. It was just a little bit of a lick on the rear suspension of his. But boys, get the umbrellas out. It's raining relatively heavily here in the pit lane and very heavy apparently out at turn 8.
That explains the slipping and sliding we've been seeing. And now, definite rooster tails coming up once again. This is Jimmy Vasser. After his role in that extraordinary crash, he is out there racing again. 96 winner of this event when he won 3 of the first 4 races of the season and went on to take the series championship. Jimmy began his career here on the streets of Surfers Paradise 10 years ago.
Teammate, Michel Jourdain, also in his backup car.
Running 10th and 11th. Well, it looked like a plastic bag on the road. The last thing you want into the radiator cooling side pods.
Bit of a moving target out there. With, you know, up here in the booth, it looks like the rain's starting to come down harder and harder. Now the guys have been running a couple laps, starting to get in a little bit of groove. Now they're gonna have to be heads up. They're starting to feel more water coming down on their shields. Also, they've got to be heads up, not getting it quite as deep, and end up sliding off the racetrack.
Very heavy rain outside our windows now. The pit lane under heavy rain. Fittipaldi. Oh. Carpentier with Michael behind, third in line.
It's a tough race going on right now. All this rain, changing conditions.
8 laps
up
complete.
at the start.
Calvin Fish.
Well, good news for Christian Fittipaldi. He has reported that the misfire appears to have gone away, and they're on the straightaway. Doesn't seem to be losing too much ground, so hopefully that Toyota engine is responding. He went through a bunch of dial settings, but there you see he can get passed by one of the players, Carl. Let's go down to Derek.
Calvin, we're going to have a major problem here because Michael has reported now it is too hard for him to see. And as soon as Chris Neifel begins to hear comments like that from these drivers, I think he's going to be forced to red flag this thing again because of what we saw earlier.
That was Patrick Carpentier going underneath Christian Fittipaldi. Now Michael Andretti tries to pull alongside his former Newman Haas teammate.
Christian must be having some problems. Dropping back very fast. Either that or he's just wanting to stay out of harm's way.
It's worth remembering we can see them better than they can see what they're doing. On board again, looking out the visor of Dario Franchitti.
Look at all that water.
Up to speed and the airflow helps his visor clear, but not as clear as you would expect. What an exercise.
A lot of spray now coming up from the cars in front of you. Very difficult to see. You can see the rain light just up there, kind of off the left-hand side. That's what we were talking about earlier. That's about all you can see.
Full course caution for heavy rain with 9 laps complete, working the 10th of 50 in our revamped schedule. Very heavy rain on the backside now. Look at how it's coming down back there. Because this is lap 10, the pits are open, as is the first pit window.
I would wonder why you'd pit now, though, if they stop this race.
Leader is in. Calvin Fish awaits Cristiano Matta.
Well, 20-lap window on the fuel, which means if you stop on lap 10, you can make it on one more.
Race, a non-complete race.
I wonder, does Bruno understand that? Because he is still on the radio pleading with them to stop this race. Paul Tracy, meanwhile, all he has said is he cannot see a thing. So obviously, I know we can see what we think is bad out there, but apparently it is just diabolical conditions for those drivers in those cars.
Network 10 here in Australia giving us a number of views of that fire in Oriol Servia's car. Getting back to Scott's point, the question is, when will this race end? Everyone is assuming that will end at the first opportunity once the race becomes official on lap 36. That is not necessarily the case, and therein, I suppose, lies the problem for CART, because when they decide to end this race, pretty much determines who wins it.
Yep, that's exactly right. And now they're the first we've heard from someone who was actually in one of the cars, Scott Dixon, who's about as nonchalant as they come, said, it's not that bad. It's about like it was when it started. So, well, we saw what happened when it started, though. So you can argue that both ways. I mean, this is just like watching a slow-motion train wreck. So we'll just have to wait and see how it unfolds.
We're just trying to play the strategy game right now and trying to second-guess CART and when they're going to potentially end this race and how that ruling, because one ruling puts Michael winning the race if they stop it at 36, but does he have to be, just like with the graphic we saw, must pit by 36.
Yeah,
and
if you
his
stop
pit
it
is
at
before.
37, Vassar wins because he got in before Bruno. Bruno stopped on 18, so it's...
She stopped it on 38, and Bruno
I
wins
think
the
what
race.
you saw when Paul Tracy stopped there, that was a move aimed at thinking this is probably going to go back to green at some point. He stopped on lap 26. It extended his window all the way back out. Matta, Brack, Kanan, Franchitti are first through fourth. They have another 3 laps before they need to be in. If they're going to come in, they're going to be behind Paul Tracy. And so if it goes green, Paul was gambling that he could gain some track position that way. Derek is...
As soon as this race is done, and I mean as soon as the race is over, they'll reverse the process to get the whole circus back to Fontana, California, and the California Speedway for next weekend's 500, presented by Toyota. Derek Daly.
As the great Yogi Berra once said, when you come to the fork in the road, take it. It's about as confusing as things are here. Kim Green, I just had a chat with Chris Neifel. The question was, if the race stops for safety reasons on lap 36, he believes you will have to stop in your pit, and I don't think you believe that.
No, it's no different than if we went all the way to lap 70, which would be the completion of the race, and we had stopped 20 laps prior to that when the window opened. If the race is going to be completed on the completion of lap 36, we have fulfilled our obligation of running no more than 20 laps on the racetrack.
Okay. Thank you.
That's...
You come to the fork in the road, take it.
It's as clear as the weather. Oh, Cristiano Matta has spun.
Well, maybe they're not safe behind the pace car. Holy mackerel.
Wow.
As the street lights have come on.
Now
here
this
in
changes.
Surfers.
This changes everything. If they decide to run at the full distance to 50, then Cristiano would have won. It looks like he stalled.
He stalled?
Stalled it.
And now, if they run at the full distance, that would put Tony Kanaan in the catbird seat.
They won't go full with this hat. They won't go full distance.
This is
No way. This is.
It appears that the series champion has lost the fire. Bearing the number 1 of series champion this weekend for the first time.
Chris, did you hit anything when you spun? Did you hit anything?
I think that's where the kicker is. That Chris Neifel put that qualifier. If we're stopping the race for safety reasons, that's where his kicker is on that. What they're telling Michael Andretti and Kim Green.
As the Silver Green safety team tries to refire Cristiano Ronaldo. Another indication of just how slick things are out there.
Kim, I know we heard that comment about a fabricated finish. I know you're livid here. Instead of getting ready to win the race, you're getting ready for a pit stop.
I think we've basically been screwed by CART. The half distance they told us was 36 laps. There's no way you're ever going to restart this race. And our tactics worked. We won the race based on a 36 lap race. And CART's decided to change the race distance. Not very nice, in my opinion, where they have done that.
I don't think we can argue with Kim on that point.
The most salient of which was our tactics worked.
for a 36 lap race.
Right. Here comes Michael.
I bet you Kenny Brack's wishing he hadn't pitted.
Jimmy Vasser and Michel Jourdain are also pitting now.
Bruno Junqueira's pitting. Everybody who can't make it to the end.
Wait a second, you know what?
What are we doing here? Baldy back out.
Kenny Brack will be at the front of the queue.
Calvin Fish.
Well, I think if you look at the timer screen, Tom, if I'm not mistaken, I think it's going to be Dominguez. If they stop at lap 41,
You're right.
didn't he stop at lap 22, and he fits in that window? Is that right?
I think you're right.
Can this be happening?
Who do you want to win? Stop it on that lap.
And with that, the clouds have opened once again. More heavy rain on the start-finish straightaway. And teams beginning to break down the equipment. Working lap number 37 of what we are told will be a 41-lap race. And, count on it, a very controversial finish. We'll be right back to Australia. gearheads have a pool from week to week on the Kart FedEx Championship Series trail. You know, pick the winner, top 6, first out, dark horse, all that sort of thing, pole sitter. I guarantee you, well, let me put it this way. I would bet an awful lot of money that nobody picked Mario Dominguez to win his first race here today. But it appears that is exactly what he will do.
Race, buddy. Here, motherfucker.
Indeed. High fives among the crew.
Of yellow.
We'll wait for Mario Dominguez to make his way around, and we'll hear from him. Some of those choice sound bites, some of the other choice sound bites from this race. Stay with us. Final thoughts, Tommy Kendall?
I want to preface it by saying that how fortunate we are that nobody got hurt, but what a disaster. I mean,
what a disaster. And think about this right now. All the guys, it's raining like crazy. They got to get everything packed up and turned around for Fontana next week.
That's right. They'll start loading them up now, and there's a lot of Australian rainwater going to be getting on the FedEx jets headed for the American West Coast. We will see you next weekend from California Speedway for the 500 presented by Toyota. Thanks for staying with us through a long, long day here in Australia and a long, long night back in the United States. For Tommy Kendall, Scott Pruitt, Calvin Fish, and Derek Daly, I'm Bob Barsha. So long from suddenly soggy Surfers Paradise, Australia. Live. Let's get our story started with Derek Daly.
Bob, you're right. It is 2 miles. It's absolutely flat out. In fact, this is officially the fastest closed course in the world of motor racing. And what a contrast. Also, remember, it's our last U.S. race of the year. But what a contrast to Surfers Paradise. City streets, slow speeds, softly sprung racing cars to the blinding speeds of here. Now, the last time you saw me, I was completely soaked. Shoes, pants, socks, underwear, shirt, jacket, everything was soaked. When I got back home to Noblesville, Indiana, my clothes were still soaked in my suitcase. But at least I didn't have to rebuild racing cars. Now, with more on that theme, let's get down to Calvin Fish. Calvin?
Well, Double D, when the FedEx people loaded up those airplanes on the way back from Australia, they looked at the cargo weight of the first plane. It was 6,000 pounds heavier. Now, that's not due to the fact that Cristiano and Bruno brought all of their girlfriends back, but due to the fact that everything was just saturated. The uniforms, the equipment, and the equipment inside, well, heavy damage from those cars involved in that first lap incident. I did a survey this morning with the teams. Andretti's car, 100 grand. Team Rahal, Michel Jourdain, and Jimmy Vasser, 350 between the two of them. Fernandez, 275, and the list goes on. Total for that one crash, $1.4 million plus, and that's just for the crash alone. Over the course of the weekend, probably $3 million in equipment was damaged. What that meant for the crews was when they arrived here at California Speedway, a lot of work to be done. They got here first thing Tuesday morning, been working flat out ever since just to repair the cars. Then they had to switch over to the super speedway setup as well. For more on that,